The waves begin long before you hear them. Not just ocean waves, but every wave the universe has ever breathed into existence. Light waves drifting through ancient darkness. Gravity waves stretching the invisible fabric of space-time. Silent ripples of energy moving through the quiet night outside your window. Even the soft, slow rhythms inside your own body. The ones that rise and fall without asking anything of you. They are waves too, and tonight you are drifting into a place where all those waves meet. A place where motion becomes rest, and rest becomes motion. The way dreams always flow into each other without edges. You are standing at a shoreline that doesn't quite behave like shorelines in the waking world. The sand feels warm, even though the moonlight here has no strict source. The air settles around you with the softness of something that remembers you. The tide rises, not forward, not backward, but inward, as if the entire ocean is breathing with you, matching the quiet expansion of your chest. The subtle release when you exhale. Every wave rolls in with a rhythm that feels familiar, as if your mind already knows this coast from another night. A dream you don't fully remember, but your body does. Light bends in a way that shouldn't be possible, gliding across the surface of the water like threads of silver that ripple without sound. The horizon moves just a little, not enough to startle, only enough to feel like the world is gently rearranging itself into a place made for sleeping. The waves are slow, but inside their slowness is something ancient, something steady, something that has been drifting since long before Earth learned how to form oceans. Motion that knows exactly how to rest, because motion is its natural state. A wave never stops. Not really. Even when it breaks, even when it vanishes into foam and silence, its energy moves on forward, downward, outward, carrying pieces of its memory to the next wave and the next and the next. Tonight, that continuity becomes your continuity. The warmth in the air shifts barely noticeable, like a soft hand passing near your skin without touching it. A gentle drift, a subtle temperature echo like the quiet reminder of a place you once felt safe. Far out at sea, the water glows for a moment, not bright, not sharp, just a faint shimmer, as though something beneath the surface turned its attention upward. The glow expands, slows, contracts again, following a pattern you don't have to understand, because your mind already recognizes it as the beginning of drifting inward. Your feet sink slightly into the sand, but the sand isn't exactly sand. It behaves more like warm dust light, something between earth and glow, pressing upward in soft, patient waves that mirror your breathing. A single wave curls higher than the rest and pauses, not frozen, only lingering, as if deciding whether to fall. The shape bends, stretches, thins into a veil of water that doesn't obey gravity, hovering with a delicate tremble before releasing itself in slow, dream-like motion back into the sea. The spray that rises never reaches you. It turns to mist halfway across the shore, mist that drifts sideways instead of upward, dissolving into the warm, night-colored air with a quiet glow. Every detail moves with the softness of something seen through half-closed eyes during the earliest moments of REM, when the world dissolves at the edges, but gently, so gently, you almost don't notice you've left the waking world behind. Your thoughts slow, then stretch. They begin to pick up the rhythm of the waves without trying. Your breathing aligns with the motion around you. Waves rising, waves settling. Your mind rising, your body settling. A faint pathway appears across the water. Not a solid one. Not something you can walk on. Just a suggestion of a path made of pale, shifting light that folds into itself over and over, like a dream, trying to remember its own shape. Somewhere far beyond that path, beyond the dark horizon that moves ever so slightly like a curtain. Breathing, you sense the pull of a doorway, not yet visible, but already present, waiting for you in a place where your thoughts become lighter and your body begins to loosen its hold on the day. The next wave rolls in, slower this time, fuller, carrying the quiet hum of the universe's oldest motion. The water reaches your feet, but instead of receding, it dissolves into warmth, leaving behind only a soft imprint of sensation, the kind that lingers long after it should have faded. A sensory echo, a memory placed gently into tonight's dream. Your eyelids feel heavier, but not tired, just aligned with the rhythm of this shore, and the waves that never stop, and the motion that becomes rest, and the rest that becomes motion again, in endless, comforting cycles. The ocean inhales. You inhale. The ocean exhales. You release the last thought you meant to carry and let it drift away in the slow pull of the tide. A soft shimmer of light opens briefly along the water's surface, like a gate that only appears when the mind begins to loosen its edges. The night grows warmer. The sound grows softer. The waves grow slower, and you drift deeper. The shoreline begins to shift, not away from you, but around you, like a dream, rearranging its furniture so you can move deeper without effort. The waves pull back just enough to reveal patterns in the sand, patterns that shouldn't exist in waking physics. They glow faintly, as if traced by something ancient, thin lines of light, mapping slow spirals that widen, then narrow again, following a rhythm that feels strangely familiar. You take a step, and the ground warms softly beneath your foot, as though the shore recognizes your presence and adjusts itself to you. The air moves closer, brushing your skin with the gentlest drift, carrying the sensation of warmth without temperature. Nothing here tries to wake you. Everything leans toward rest. Far along the water's edge, a wave rises, not breaking, not folding, simply rising. And inside it, you glimpse something impossible. Threads of motion suspended within. Motion, ripples that ripple inward instead of outward. Like the ocean is having a thought it hasn't decided to share yet. The wave holds for a moment, trembling with soft bioluminescence before settling back into the sea with a sigh so gentle it feels like an exhale beside your ear. Above you, the sky is not a single color. It drifts between shades, deep blue fading into violet, violet dissolving into the soft gold of distant starlight. The stars move in slow arcs, as if the sky itself is breathing. One star brightens with each inhale you take. Another dims as you exhale. The universe is syncing its rhythm to yours, adjusting the night to match the steady, calming frequency of your own wave pattern. Somewhere in the space between breath and silence, the boundary between your body and the air loosens. The tension you've carried without noticing detaches like grains of sand falling off your skin. Each worry becomes a faint spark that drifts upward higher and higher until it blends into the shifting sky and disappears. The ocean's surface begins to mirror the sky, creating a soft duplication. Waves, reflecting stars. Stars, reflecting waves, so that the distinction between above and below gently dissolves. The world becomes circular, enveloping womb-like, safe. The water unfolds in slow, curved motions, not random, but deliberate, following the invisible rules of a dream-designed physics. Every wave that approaches you now carries a faint hum, a resonance felt more than heard. The hum wraps around your senses, creating a cocoon of softness that anchors you deeper into the moment. It's not music, not sound, but something subtler, like your thoughts being rearranged into calmer shapes. A low mist forms at the shoreline. It drifts inward, not cold, not wet, simply present. The mist carries a memory of warmth, sunlit stones, cooling at dusk, the faint echo of light on water, the gentle pressure of being held. When it touches your skin, it feels like a moment from long ago you once forgot to remember. Ahead of you, a soft path begins to glow, a ribbon of pale luminescence unfurling slowly along the water's surface. It does not demand to be followed. It simply exists steady and gentle, waiting for when you are ready. The path shifts slightly, widening and narrowing with the same rhythm as your breaths, as if calibrated to your internal tide. The waves become slower still. Their crests are rounder, their motion elongated, as though the ocean itself is relaxing. The foam dissolves before reaching the shore, turning into drifting particles of light that float upward. They are like sparks that forgot how to fall, rising instead in soft spirals. You move closer to the glowing water path. The sand beneath your steps feels different now, less like earth, more like memory. It gives slightly, then rises again in a slow, supportive motion, cradling each step as if the ground is learning the shape of your presence. A distant pulse grows along the horizon, not bright, not urgent, a soft blooming of light, slow and rhythmic, like the heartbeat of something enormous sleeping beneath the waves. It spreads outward, painting the ocean in slow, concentric circles that move toward you with an impossible gentleness. As the light reaches your feet, a sensation, warm, quiet, weightless, drifts through your entire body. It feels like the moment just before falling asleep, when the mind slips between worlds and the edges of thought begin to blur. You breathe in, and the pulse synchronizes with your inhale. You breathe out, and it settles into stillness. The air thickens slightly, not heavy, just more present, like a blanket of night settling around your shoulders. Your thoughts begin to stretch, loosen, drift. The tension behind your eyes softens, dissolving into the rhythm of the waves. The ocean continues its endless motion, but tonight it moves at the exact pace your inner world needs. A shimmer appears ahead, faint, liminal. A doorway made from nothing but distance light and the idea of movement. It widens, then contracts, then widens again, always in sync with your breath. You don't walk toward it. It simply comes closer, like the dream, recognizing it's time for you to go deeper. The waves slow once more. The night exhales. Your body softens, and you drift further inward. The doorway of light continues drifting toward you, not in straight motion, but in soft, curved arcs, as if the dream itself prefers gentle, tidal paths over direct lines. Its glow spreads across the surface of the water, forming long, delicate ribbons that shimmer with every subtle shift of the ocean's breath. You watch as those ribbons rise, fall, and stretch like streams of moonlit silk pulled through warm water. The light never overwhelms. It only glows enough to guide your focus to soften the edges of the world, so your thoughts can slide comfortably into a slower rhythm. The sky above deepens, not darker, just deeper, like color soaking gradually into fabric. Stars drift slightly out of alignment, not in a way that breaks the night, but in a way that feels like the universe adjusting the ceiling of this dream room just for you. The shoreline behind you fades, still there, but softened into a distant memory of warmth and sand. You feel no pull to return. The dream has opened a new space, and every wave seems to agree that you belong, moving gently forward. The water path brightens, slowly, tenderly, like a lantern being turned up by invisible hands. The brightness isn't visual alone. It feels like a temperature shift, a faint exhale of warmth moving across the surface of the world, brushing against your skin with the softness of drifting light. Your breathing syncs with the motion. Again, inhale as the glow expands, exhale as it settles. The alignment is effortless, automatic, like the natural rhythm between heartbeats and silence. A wave rolls toward you, larger than the others. But instead of rising sharply, it stretches horizontally, flattening into a translucent wall of water that curves around you in a half circle. Through it, you see the ocean bending its reflections into dreamy distortions, starlight turning into long, liquid threads, and moon glow splitting into a slow cascade of soft beams. For a moment, the wave becomes a lens, revealing something beneath the surface. Faint shapes, moving like shadows of currents, loops of motion, folding inward in patterns too calm to belong to earthly seas. They drift upward, pause, and dissolve into light, as if they were made not of water, but of old wandering thoughts released back into the dream. The wave settles, lowering itself like a curtain falling into place. No splash, no sound, just the whisper of motion being completed. The mist from earlier returns floating around your hands, your shoulders, your face, not touching, only existing near you. Its presence feels warm, familiar, as though the dream is remembering your scent, your heartbeat, your quiet intention to rest. You breathe in, and something inside the mist answers with a subtle warmth along your chest. Ahead, the glowing path shifts again. It widens, not like a road, but like an invitation. You sense depth forming beneath it, layers of water, reorganizing themselves into something like steps made of liquid motion. You don't walk on them. You drift along them, your feet touching the surface lightly enough that each step feels weightless, as though the water has been instructed to hold you gently. The world becomes softer the deeper you go. Colors blur at the edges. Sounds stretch into long, velvety tones. Your thoughts begin to melt into simpler shapes. Warm tides, soft light, slow breathing. Somewhere in the distance, a low vibration begins. Not a noise, but a feeling, like a long, slow hum, resonating softly inside your ribs. It matches the movement of the water, the pacing of the sky, the gentle tilt of the dream. The hum continues rising only enough to lull the spaces in your mind that were once cluttered. Each pulse empties a little more room. You inhale. The hum expands. You exhale. It wraps around you. As you drift farther, the air begins to carry faint currents, barely perceptible shifts in warmth that move past your arms and neck, like drifting shadows of touch. They do not press. They do not pull. They simply exist alongside you, guiding your body into an even deeper sense of ease. The water beneath the path becomes darker, not from danger, only depth. Depth that feels protective, like descending into thick blankets during winter nights. The glowing ribbons overhead twist and drift in slow spirals, forming shapes that resemble gateways, archways, corridors made of nothing but motion and shimmer. They open, close, open again, each one pulling the dream deeper into a quiet, expanding landscape. You notice something new. The waves no longer break at all. They rise, hold, and lower, moving in perpetual motion without endings. As if the ocean has entered its own REM state, where cycles become loops, loops become spirals, and everything flows without interruption. A single crest of light appears ahead, the brightest you've seen, but still soft enough not to wake a sleeping mind. Inside it, you glimpse a curve, then a line, then something that looks almost like a doorway, formed entirely from water light and memory. It pulses once, a second time, a third. You feel the subtle tug of gravity shifting sideways, not enough to disorient, only enough to invite. The sensation is warm, dreamlike, as if your body is dissolving into the gentle pull of the tide. You take another step. The path glows brighter. The doorway stabilizes, and the dream begins to open its next room. The doorway of water and light stands before you, now steady in its pulse, as if the entire ocean has exhaled and held still, just long enough for you to cross its threshold. It does not shine with brightness, but with softness, an invitation more than a beacon formed from the slow undulation of a wave that refuses to collapse into foam. As you draw closer, the air warms. Not abruptly, not noticeably at first, just an easy drift of temperature that brushes your shoulders, your arms, the back of your neck. It feels like stepping into a memory of safety, something your body recognizes before your mind does. The mist around you thickens slightly, swirling in patterns that echo the rising and falling motion of the doorway itself. You pause, not to hesitate, but because the world around you seems to pause with you. The ocean slows. The sky stretches. Even the glow beneath your feet holds for a moment, hovering between motion and stillness, like a breath waiting to be released. Then, with a soft shift, barely a ripple, you feel the dream change around you. The wave door opens inward, not like a hinge, not like a curtain, but like a deep inhalation taken by the sea itself. The water pulls back, revealing a corridor made entirely of motion walls of slow shimmering tides curving upward, a ceiling of liquid starlight drifting in long, lazy arcs, a floor that feels solid only when you think of stepping forward. You enter. The moment your foot touches the threshold, the corridor responds. The water at your sides brightens, then softens again, as though greeting you with a pulse of recognition. A faint vibration hums beneath the surface, a low resonance that flows along your bones, soothing, warm, and familiar. It feels like the dream has been expecting you. The corridor narrows, then widens, then narrows again in gentle wave-like contractions. Every change in shape matches the rhythm of your breath. Inhale, walls expand softly. Exhale, they settle closer, warmer. The timing is perfect, instinctive, and effortless. As you move deeper, the water around you becomes clearer, revealing shifting patterns beneath its surface. Loops, spirals, arcs that form and dissolve like strands of thought. These patterns travel along the corridor, flowing with you, ahead of you, behind you, as though guiding your direction with subtle trails of motion. The air takes on a texture, not moisture, not heat, but a kind of softness that feels like velvet made from wind. Each step you take pushes a small ripple through the corridor, causing the entire dream to adjust with a sigh of movement. Your mind begins to drift, not outward inward, toward a deeper layer of quiet. The corridor bends gently to the right. There is no corner, no angle, only a continuous curve formed by the ocean's own breath. The turn reveals a widening space ahead, a chamber, circular, dimly glowing, composed entirely of slow rolling waves moving upward along invisible walls, folding into themselves without ever falling. You step inside. Immediately, a soft warmth rises from the floor. A warmth that doesn't heat the skin, but loosens the muscles at the base of your neck, behind your shoulders, along your spine. The chamber's ceiling moves in ripples, as though the night sky itself has been submerged in water. Starlight bends, stretches, blurs on into long strokes of light that drift like underwater auroras. In the center of the chamber, a single column of water rises, twisting in a slow spiral. It is thin, delicate, luminescent. Its motion is impossibly calm, rotating at a pace that barely qualifies as motion at all. As you watch, the spiral expands, ever so slightly, then contracts again, echoing the same breathing rhythm that carried you along the shore. When you inhale, the water brightens. When you exhale, it dims, as though it is breathing with you, or as though you are breathing with it. The column leans slightly toward you. Not a gesture, not a beckon, just a subtle recognition, like the dream, acknowledging your presence in a silent language of motion. You reach out, not to touch, but simply to exist closer. And the spiral responds again, widening its path, creating arcs of gentle light that drift through the chamber like fragments of underwater moonlight. A sensation washes over you now, a feather-light pressure across your arms, your chest, your back, like warm currents passing around you without ever breaking into touch. It relaxes you more deeply than you expected, loosening a tension you didn't realize was still hiding beneath your ribs. The spiral water rises higher. The chamber brightens slightly. The ceiling shifts into deeper blues and purples, and then, In the soft hum of the moment, you feel it. The dream is about to drop you into a deeper level of motion, a slower pulse, a quieter tide. The next layer awaits. You take one slow breath. The chamber exhales with you. The spiral tilts upward, forming the beginning of a new path, a rising corridor made of folded light and soft motion. Your body grows lighter. Your thoughts grow slower. Your senses grow warm, and you begin to ascend. The ascent begins so gently that you don't notice at first. Your feet feel weightless, as though the water beneath them has thickened into something buoyant, something designed to lift you without effort. The chamber below fades softly, not disappearing, just lowering itself into the quiet distance, like a memory returning to its resting place. The rising corridor opens around you in a slow helix of light, not bright, not directional, just a floating shimmer that moves the way warm breath moves across a mirror, soft dissolving, drifting into new shapes with every inhale you take. You step forward, and the helix responds. The light widens, stretching upward, curving into arcs that resemble ripples suspended in air. Those arcs rotate, not fast, not slow, just enough to give the sense that the entire pathway is alive, aware, moving with its own gentle pulse. The water at your sides rises vertically, flowing upward like reversed waterfalls. Each stream glows faintly from within, pulsing in long, slow waves that reach your chest height, then fade into a mist that curls along the ceiling of the corridor. The sensation around you changes. The air grows warmer, then cooler, then warmer again. Small rhythmic shifts, like the temperature of a dream, rearranging itself to match your breathing. These pulses wrap softly around your shoulders and arms, loosening any place where tension might still be hiding. Your mind drifts deeper. Patterns begin to form inside the rising walls of water. Not images, motions. Loops that expand outward like memories floating to the surface. Spirals that curve inward like thoughts returning home. Wave fronts folding into each other with the precision of a sleeping universe aligning its tides. As you ascend, the corridor tilts slightly, creating the sensation of floating, not upward, but forward, as if you are gliding through a soft current that carries you exactly where you need to go. The helix of light begins to shift color. A soft blue unfurls into violet. Violet melts into muted gold. Gold fades into a warm, dusk-like orange before settling into a pale silver that glows like moonlight filtered through deep water. Every color carries a feeling: warmth, reassurance, quiet expectancy. None of it explicit. All of it soft. Another step, another pulse of warmth along your spine, another quiet release inside your chest. You inhale. The corridor opens wider. You exhale. The helix tightens, guiding you deeper. Ahead, the rising corridor curves into a wider space, an elevated platform made entirely of drifting water, suspended in midair. You arrive at the edge of it, and the platform supports your first step without resistance, forming a surface beneath you as soft as warm sand and as stable as still earth. This elevated space is open, surrounded by slow-moving waves that hang in the air without falling. Each suspended wave reflects the sky above, not the sky you knew earlier, but a deeper one. A dream sky. The stars here move differently. They drift in small circular paths, leaving faint trails of light behind them, like long exposure photographs of the night. Every trail curves gently downward, as if the stars themselves are obeying the physics of this dreaming ocean. You look up, and the dream adjusts. The stars brighten just enough. The space between them deepens just a little, creating the perfect balance between open and enclosed. A sky that feels infinite but comforting. The suspended waves surrounding the platform begin to resonate. The hum is faint at first, a low, velvety vibration that seems to come from everywhere at once. Water, air, light, even the platform beneath your feet. The resonance settles into your bones, your muscles, your breathing. It dislodges small fragments of thought, letting them drift upward like dust caught in a sunbeam. A taller wave rises in front of you. It curves into a half arc, a shape reminiscent of a gate, but made entirely of motion. Light gathers at the crest of the arc, forming a thin line that shivers gently, rising and falling in micro movements that feel like the eyelash flickers of early REM sleep. The arc brightens. The suspended waves fall silent. The air stills, and then the arc opens. Inside it, a shape begins to form, not solid, not fixed, but a moving geometry of water and glow, like a doorway built from a memory of fluid light. The dream breathes out. So do you. A warmth drifts across the platform. Not a wind, not a current. Just the presence of a deeper layer of sleep unfolding around you. The arc stretches wider. The glow inside it deepens. The movement behind it becomes calmer, slower, more deliberate. Something waits through that doorway, something quieter, slower, softer, a deeper tide of dreams gathering in the distance, and you feel yourself leaning toward it, drawn by emotion older than thought, older than waking memory, as old as waves themselves. This is the next descent into stillness, the next motion into rest, the next layer of the night, and you step forward. The step you take is not a step in the ordinary sense. It feels more like slipping into a softer version of gravity, a gravity made not to pull you down, but to cradle you inward. The doorway of water and light receives you without resistance. As you cross the threshold, the arc behind you fades into a slow ripple, closing like a wave, curling back into itself, not shutting you out, but sealing the world ahead so you can fall deeper into this one. The space you enter feels immediately different. The air thickens slightly, not heavy, just textured, like moving through warm dusk. You sense it brushing lightly against your arms, your cheeks, your breath, like a soft, invisible fabric. The ground is no longer a platform. It's something quieter, a surface that yields just enough to comfort your steps, like warm mist holding its shape for your sake. The entire chamber ahead is built from motion, circular, slow, deliberate. Waves rise along the walls, curling into spirals that never complete themselves, remaining always on the edge of unfolding, as if the room itself is inhaling endlessly. The ceiling overhead glows with layered currents. Soft ribbons of light drift across one another, melting into folds of deep blue lavender and silver. They move with the same pace as the REM flickers hidden behind dreaming eyelids, those tiny rhythmic surges of motion that signal the mind sinking into its deepest seas. You breathe in, and the ceiling brightens. You breathe out, and the spirals along the walls expand and relax. A circular wave pool forms in the center of the chamber, but it isn't water in the waking sense. Its surface is too smooth, too consistent, too dreamlike. It bends inward like a bowl of liquid glass, quietly rotating, in a motion so slow you almost mistake it for stillness. As you approach the center of the pool, deepens in color, shifting from soft blue to midnight blue, to a shade that feels like memory more than pigment. From that center, a glow rises. Not a beam, not a flare. A gentle column of diffused light that sways slightly like a candle flame breathing underwater. The light leans toward you. Nothing in the dream startles. Everything meets you softly. A warmth touches the center of your chest, your sternum, your breath, your quiet inner tide. you feel something loosen there. A knot you didn't know you carried, unraveling with each motion of the rotating pool. The spirals along the walls adjust themselves, aligning with the rhythm of your inhale and exhale. The room is syncing to you, calibrating itself to your internal waves, the unseen tides that move beneath your thoughts. The glow from the pool rises higher, spreads outward, and forms thin filaments that reach across the room like gentle tendrils of light. They move slowly, floating, twisting, never touching, simply existing near you. The filaments pulse once. A faint sound follows soft, distant, like an echo heard through warm water. You feel it behind your ears, down your spine, across your shoulders. A subtle release, a deeper drift. The rotating pool begins to shift shape, its edges expanding its center, opening its glow, taking on a warmer hue, like moonlight reflecting off warm skin. Something beneath the surface stirs. A pattern. Not quite an image, not quite a memory, more like a sensation rising into form. The water glass begins to thicken. Its motion becomes rounder, its glow fuller, its spiral more defined. And then you notice it. The entire pool is becoming a wave. A single, slow wave moving upward in perfect silence. It rises without breaking, curving into a smooth arch that forms above your head, like a shelter, a canopy, a warm tidal roof. Inside, the wavelight moves in looping lines. Some drift upward, some downward, some sideways, defying every rule of waking physics, but aligning perfectly with the soft surrealism of REM. You breathe in. The wave above you pulses. You breathe out. The light inside it calms. The wave dips lower, not touching you, just cradling your presence in a cocoon of slow, rhythmic motion. You feel your thoughts shifting, spilling into longer currents, stretching into softer arcs, moving like liquid through the dream. Another pulse. Warm, so warm. Gliding along the length of your spine, a whisper of motion takes shape behind the pool. The chamber rearranges itself into a long descending passage, a tunnel of water light leading downward into a deeper layer of rest. The wave above you leans forward gently, nudging your sense of direction. The dream is telling you it is time to descend. You inhale. The tunnel brightens. You exhale. The wave opens its arch. You take one step, then another. Your body lightens. Your thoughts dissolve into warmth, and you begin the slow descent into the next layer of the night. The descent begins with a warmth that gathers behind your knees, your lower spine, the back of your neck, an enveloping softness that makes your entire body feel as if it is being carried, not moved. The tunnel ahead tilts gently downward, its walls formed from the same slow, spiraling water light that shaped the chamber above. The spirals glide along the surface like drifting galaxies, each loop stretching into long ribbons that dissolve into mist before reforming a little farther down the tunnel. The movement is hypnotic, steady, soothing, never abrupt, never sharp, always drifting in the rhythms of a half-remembered dream. The air grows denser, but only in sensation, not in weight. It feels like velvet warmed by moonlight. Each breath you draw in moves through that softness, filling your chest with a quiet, effortless easing. As you step deeper, the floor adjusts beneath you, becoming warmer with each footfall, as if memorizing your movement and returning it in gentle waves. You notice a faint echo under your steps, not sound, but a pulsing sensation that ripples lightly up your legs and into your torso, sinking once again with the subtle cadence of your breath. The tunnel narrows slightly, the walls rise higher, and the spirals of water light change from blues and silvers to muted shades of green, warm gold, and soft, fading teal. These colors don't just glow. They breathe. They expand with your inhale, dim with your exhale, like the entire dream has become a single, slow respiration, and you are resting inside its lungs. A gentle sound emerges, now a low, distant hum, softened by layers of imaginary water and warm air. It vibrates through your ribs, the base of your skull, the small hollow behind your heart. Not a note, not music, only the feeling of resonance, of something ancient moving through the tunnel with you. Ahead, the passage widens into a lower chamber. The ceiling dips, curving downward into a rounded dome made entirely of swirling currents. These currents move so slowly that they resemble drifting clouds trapped beneath the surface of a warm sea. You step into the chamber, and the hum deepens. It spreads outward, filling the dome with long, gentle pulses that roll like invisible waves through the air. The floor beneath you shifts again this time, becoming softer, as if the dream has grown thick with warmth. Your feet sink just slightly held, supported, floating on something that feels halfway between sand and glow. At the center of the chamber, a single droplet hangs suspended, but it is far larger than a droplet, a sphere of drifting light and water, pulsing slowly, rotating in no particular direction, as though obeying a physics meant only for this layer of sleep. You approach, and the sphere reacts. A filament of light uncoils from its surface, thin as a breath, shimmering with pale gold, stretching toward you with the slowness of something rising through warm, shallow tides. The filament stops a few inches from your chest. It holds there, glowing, waiting. You breathe in, and the filament brightens. You breathe out, and its glow spreads outward across the sphere's surface, revealing intricate patterns beneath its membrane spirals, loops, and faint waves that appear and dissolve with each motion of your breath. The sphere begins to tilt, leaning not toward the chamber, but toward you, as if listening. On its surface, waves begin to form slow, dreamlike crests, rising and falling in cycles far too elongated for waking reality. These waves curve inward, forming a hollow path within the sphere, a softly illuminated opening that deepens into swirling darkness. Not darkness of fear, darkness of depth, darkness of rest. You feel the gentle pull again, not tugging, not urging, simply guiding. Your body responds without thought, shifting closer until the warmth surrounding the sphere brushes lightly across your arms. The chamber quiets. The hum softens. Your heartbeat becomes the only rhythm you notice, and even that begins to slow, merging into the gentle pulses moving through the dome. The sphere widens its opening. Water light folds back, creating an archway barely larger than your frame. The warmth inside it spills outward, passing over your skin and sinking deep into your muscles, melting every last fragment of tension. You step toward the opening. A soft drift of mist passes across your face, warm, glowing faintly, like a memory of hands that once soothed you. Your eyelids grow heavier. The sphere's interior reveals itself slowly, a downward spiral of light descending into a deeper chamber, each loop turning more gently than the last, each curve shimmering with soft waves that never break, never fall, never end. You inhale, and the spiral breathes with you. You exhale, and it opens wider. Your foot crosses the threshold. The sphere accepts you, and you begin the slow descent into the quiet inner ocean of the dream. The descent through the sphere feels like entering the calm center of a tide that has been turning for centuries. You are not moving through space in the way the waking world understands movement. Instead, space moves around you, adjusting, softening, dissolving into new shapes with each step you take. The spiral of light curves downward in broad, gentle loops. Every part of it drifts. Nothing here is fixed. Not the walls, not the air, not even the subtle pull that guides your steps. Everything is soft motion, the physics of a dream that values ease over direction, rest over gravity, warmth over certainty. The walls of the spiral glow with liquid luminescence. Blue melts into green, green into silver, silver into soft rose gold, before fading back into blue again. A slow cycle of color that feels like watching the sky shift through every hour of a day that never needed a sun. You place a hand lightly against the wall. It yields beneath your touch, not like water, not like mist. Something in between, something warm and gentle, something that remembers touch and reflects it back in soft echoes. A faint resonance starts up again, a low hum pulsing from deep within the spiral. This time, it feels closer, more intimate, running along the length of your spine, settling behind your heart, then dissolving into the softness behind your eyes. Your breathing follows without effort. Long, slow, steady. Each inhale sends a small surge of light along the spiraling walls. Each exhale releases it in ripples that drift downward like falling feathers made of glow. The path curves wider now. The spiral becomes less like a corridor and more like a drifting current you're being carried through. Your steps grow lighter, then softer. Then they feel less like steps and more like sliding through warm, suspended air. The descent deepens. Ahead, the walls of the spiral grow transparent. You can see into a new chamber below a vast basin of glowing waves, all moving in slow circular patterns, none of them rising high enough to break. These waves are different, not water waves, memory waves, emotion waves, the kind the mind creates during REM when it is preparing to heal itself quietly in the background. You reach the bottom of the spiral. The floor is warm, soft, a drifting patch of light that supports you without any sense of solidity, yet never lets you fall. The chamber is enormous. The ceiling curves upward in a dome of luminous mist that swirls with the faintest suggestion of stars, stars that drift like embers through deep, warm clouds. The waves in the basin move with impossible calm. Each one is a long ripple of light, a horizontal stretch that melts into a circular motion, curling inward and then outward again, like a resting heartbeat, rendered in fluid motion. You step closer to the basin's edge, and the waves respond. A soft glow rolls toward you, slow and heavy, with warmth, lifting just enough to touch the air around your legs and dissolve into faint, luminescent particles that drift upward like glowing dust. Nothing touches you directly. The dream keeps its distance, but always close enough to reassure. The hum changes pitch slightly, lower, deeper. A vibration that feels like sinking into a warm bath just after the body has stopped shivering. It spreads across your chest, loosening muscles, releasing small pockets of tension hidden beneath layers of thought. A faint pulse appears at the center of the basin. Just one at first, a soft swell of light, then another, then another. The pulses form a pattern, slow expanding rings that stretch across the waves, each one forming a perfect circle that widens until it dissolves into the edges of the chamber. You watch as the rings multiply, overlapping like the soft echoes of a heartbeat. The pattern draws your attention inward toward the center of yourself, toward the part that has been quiet for so long it has forgotten the sound of its own motion. The waves brighten, the rings deepen. Your breathing slows even further, longer, exhales softer, inhales a rhythm older than words, older than memory. The center of the basin begins to rise, not quickly, slowly, with the patience of something sacred. A dome of water light forms at the center, lifting itself above the surrounding waves like a tide beginning to remember its own strength. Inside the dome, something stirs, a soft pulse, a drifting glow, a slow spiraling motion that suggests the beginning of another passage. The dome widens. Light folds outward. The motion grows smoother, calmer, more deliberate. Your body reacts before your thoughts. Your chest warms. Your shoulders loosen again. Your awareness becomes softer, dimmer around the edges, as if you're sinking deeper into yourself while rising deeper into the dream. A new doorway forms within the dome, this one shaped like a soft curve, an opening made not from water, but from the quiet between motions. The glow inside it flickers, a REM flicker, a dream flicker, a signal. The basin quiets. The dome settles. Everything becomes still. The doorway breathes. So do you. It is time to enter. You step toward the doorway inside the dome, and the chamber around you responds with a soft, collective exhale. The waves quiet, folding themselves into thinner, smoother ribbons. The glow in the air dims to a warm, low pulse, just enough to guide your senses without awakening them. The doorway itself is unlike the others. It isn't made of water or light or mist. It's made of stillness. A stillness so deep, so warm, so unintrusive that stepping into it feels like entering the hollow inside a breath. As you cross the threshold, your body lightens the way the ocean lightens. Objects held beneath the surface. Your arms feel buoyant, your shoulders drifting into a softness so gentle it almost feels like floating. The world on the other side is dim at first, not dark, just quiet. A warm dusk softens the edges of everything, turning forms into silhouettes and light into glow. You take a step. The ground responds with a slow ripple spreading outward beneath your feet, as if the very floor remembers you and welcomes the weight of your presence. The space expands, not outward inward, like the inside of a seashell, spiraling into deeper and deeper chambers. Walls of curved light extend around you, not touching, not enclosing, just drifting near your peripheral awareness, like gentle, luminous currents. These curves pulse softly. Inhale, they brighten. Exhale, they open wider. Every breath you take becomes a quiet command, reorganizing the dream's architecture. Far ahead, a shimmer appears, a soft, sweeping glow that moves in slow, wave-like arcs across a vast, open expanse. You move toward it, each step lighter than the last, each movement slightly less attached to gravity. When the shimmer resolves, you realize what you're seeing: a floating plain of waves. Not water, waves, not air waves, but resting waves. Patterns suspended in mid-air, held in place by the dream's version of physics. Each wave is a ribbon of trembling light, arched slowly upward, as if frozen in the moment before breaking. But the waves are not frozen. They breathe, rising, settling, rising again. Their motion is unhurried, long and smooth, like deep REM cycles unfolding in pure motion. You step up onto the first wave, and it supports you, like memory foam made from warmth and glow. The wave lifts slightly beneath your foot, not a bounce, but a gentle bowing, as if acknowledging you. You take another step, and another wave rises to meet you. You are walking across motion itself. As you move deeper into the plane, the waves grow taller, but their peaks remain soft, rounded, calming, like the rhythmic undulation of a sleeping mind. Your body sways slightly with each step, and the waves sink to match your balance, holding you steady in a cradle of drifting motion. Above you, the sky changes. The stars here do not stay in place. They drift, swirl, spiral, gathering into slow clusters that dissolve into luminous fog before reorganizing themselves into new constellations that pulse gently With each of your breaths, a warm memory rises inside you. Not a specific one, but the feeling of being small and safe and held. The dream accepts, it wraps around it and amplifies it with a soft vibration that spreads through your chest. Ahead, the waves begin to converge. Their peaks draw closer together until they form a narrow path, a moving corridor lined with warm, undulating light. The path slopes downward into a deeper chamber of flowing glow. As you approach, a warm drift of air moves past your face, carrying a subtle sense of recognition. The way familiar places sometimes greet you before you realize why they feel familiar. You step downward, and the corridor closes gently behind you, waves folding into one another like soft curtains drawn by unseen hands. In the center of this descending corridor, a soft ring of light forms around your feet, a halo of glow that pulses gently with your heartbeat. The air thickens slightly, wrapping around your arms, your torso, your legs, as if the dream is cushioning you in preparation for the deepest layer. Your thoughts slow further. The waves beneath you elongate their crests, lowering their valleys, rising until the surface becomes almost smooth like warm glass. A final shimmer appears ahead, a curve, then a doorway, then a bloom of brighter glow that expands outward as if announcing the entrance to the most sheltered part of the night. You move toward it. The waves flatten. The glow deepens. The path widens, and the dream prepares to open its quietest, slowest chamber, the one reserved only for the deepest drift. You inhale. The doorway brightens. You exhale. It opens. You step through. The moment you step through the doorway, the world becomes quieter than anything you've felt so far. A quiet not made of silence, but of softened motion, like the hush that fills the ocean floor, where every ripple is gentle, and every sound becomes a slow vibration. The chamber you enter is wide, but not empty. It feels inhabited by warmth, by drifting waves of memory, by currents of rest that move with the patience of centuries. The floor beneath you is warm, and even a subtle rise and fall moving through it, as though you're standing on the chest of a sleeping giant, each breath lifting you a little, each exhale setting you down more softly than the last. The air glows, not with brightness, but with density, a kind of luminous fog that turns every step into a slow wading through comforting light. You take a step. The fog parts gently. Your foot sinks a fraction of an inch into something that feels like warm mist, and memory woven together. The chamber's walls are barely visible, shaped from stacked waves that oscillate so slowly they appear almost still. Every wave has its own glow. Some shimmer with the faintest blue-green light, like phosphorescent tides on a distant shore. Others hold steady gold, slow and warm, the color of a forgotten sunrise, remembered only in dreams. At the center of the chamber is a vast circular pool. But this pool is not water. The surface behaves like a mirror for motion itself. It reflects not your appearance, but the rhythm of your breathing, the softness of your steps, the subtle ebb of your thoughts. You walk closer, feeling a gradual warmth gather in your chest, as if the chamber is encouraging your approach. The pool begins to stir, not with waves, but with widening rings of glow that ripple outward in smooth, even circles. Whenever your heart beats, you kneel at the pool's edge. Heat rises softly from its surface, a steady warmth that drifts up your arms and settles behind your collarbones, loosening the final knots in your mind. The pool brightens, the fog thins, and something beneath the surface comes into view. Not a shape, not a scene, a motion. Slow spiraling currents drift beneath the surface. Currents made of faint light that twist inwards in long, smooth arcs, gathering into the center before unwinding and releasing themselves outward again. It is the physics of rest, motion that repairs, motion that hums, motion that teaches the body how to let go without feeling loss. You lean closer, and the currents respond. Their spirals widen, aligning with the rhythm of your breath. The dream is breathing with you, guiding you deeper into the warm continuity of the night. A gentle vibration rises from the pool. It flows through your hands, up your arms, through your shoulders, down your spine. Each pulse smooths another layer of thought until your mind feels as soft as the surface of the pool itself. The center of the pool begins to rise. A dome of soft light forms, lifting like a slow tide. Inside the dome, the currents spiral, more clearly shapes forming inside the motion patterns that resemble the earliest waves of REM sleep. Then the dome opens. Inside it is a descending pathway made of layered light. 12 slow steps shimmering like waves captured in mid-rise. You stand. The chamber grows warmer. The fog gathers behind you, gently nudging you toward the descent with the softness of a drifting current. You place your foot on the first step. It holds you, warm, dreamlike, perfectly calibrated to the weight you carry. A faint hum radiates upward, passing through your legs, your spine, your chest, a hum that feels like the beginning of release. You take the second step. The hum deepens. Your breath slows. Third step. The walls glow brighter. Your shoulders soften. Fourth, fifth, sixth. The weight of the day falls away like grains of light dissolving in warm air. By the seventh step, you are suspended in something deeper than calm. Your thoughts float. Your awareness spreads. Your heartbeat becomes a soft, slow wave, rising and falling in perfect time with the room around you. Eighth step. The chamber narrows into a long, warm corridor. Ninth. The air thickens, cradling your body like gentle hands. 10th. The walls brighten with rose gold motion. 11th. Everything becomes soft. 12th. You arrive. At the bottom of the descent is a small circular hollow, a cradle of light shimmering with the quiet pulse of the deepest sleep. You step into the cradle. The glow wraps around you in a slow spiraling embrace, as warm and endless as the tide that never stops. This is the chamber of full rest, the heart of the dreaming ocean, where motion becomes memory, and memory becomes release. The waves move around you. The glow deepens. Your body softens, and you drift into the second to last layer of the night. The cradle of light holds you with a tenderness unlike anything the dream has offered before. It is warm without heat, soft without texture, enveloping without weight, as if you are suspended inside the slowed heartbeat of the ocean itself. The chamber around you begins to drift, not outward, not upward, but inward, as though the room is folding deeper into itself to guide you toward the quietest tide the night has been saving for last. The glow beneath you thickens, rising in slow spirals that coil gently around your legs, your hips, your torso, circling you, the way warmth circles a stone left out in late sunlight. Each coil tightens just enough to remind your body that it is safe to surrender. You exhale. The spirals loosen. You inhale. They pulse with soft gold, matching your breath in a rhythm so slow it feels like drifting through the final stretch of a long-forgotten lullaby. The chamber darkens not into night, but into depth. Darkness, like deep water, warm and dense and full of color, that hasn't yet decided to become light. Out of that depth, a motion begins. At first, it's only a ripple, a faint shimmering behind the haze near the far end of the chamber. The ripple expands into a curve, then into a wave, then into a gentle arc of glow that floats into the air and holds its shape like a luminous ribbon suspended in warm water. Another follows, and and another, until a whole field of soft, drifting waves fills the chamber, moving in long, patient strokes that feel older than thought. They don't travel across you. They travel through you. A delicate wave passes near your chest, and your breath deepens. Another drifts along your spine, and tension releases from places you didn't even realize were holding on. The waves circle you, layering warmth over warmth until your body feels lighter than a sigh. Your mind loosens into long, quiet strands that float in the same slow motion as the drifting glow around you. Then the chamber shifts again. The waves reorganize, pulling themselves into a giant circular pattern, a tidal ring glowing faintly swirling around you in a slow, deliberate orbit. This is the oldest motion the dream knows. The motion of planets forming. The motion of tides rising. The motion of rest restoring itself in the body of someone who has finally given permission to let go. The tidal ring pulses. Each pulse sends a warm drift across your skin, the gentlest of touches, like warm fog brushing against your forearms and dissolving into heat that settles inside your ribs. You inhale. Your body rises a little. You exhale. You sink deeper into the cradle. The ring lowers itself, coming to rest just above your feet. It pulses again. This time, a shimmer climbs the length of your legs, blurring the edges of your limbs until you can no longer tell where your body ends and the warmth begins. Another pulse. The shimmer reaches your hips, loosening the heavy places that store memories of standing, moving, struggling, enduring. Another pulse. The warmth spreads across your stomach, your ribs, your lung, your heart. The ring rises to your shoulders, glides around your neck, and lifts into the air above you. Then very slowly, it begins to descend again. This time, when the ring passes over you, the glow doesn't just drift across your body. It absorbs into you, merging with the warmth already settling beneath your skin. It feels like receiving rest in its purest form. When the ring lowers past your feet for the second time, it dissolves into a soft field of warmth that lingers beneath you, supporting your weight, as though you are lying on a cloud made from memory foam and moonlight. Then the chamber opens. The walls pull back. The ceiling expands, and the darkness becomes a vast, warm ocean of glow, stretching endlessly in every direction. A place made not of scenery, but of sensation. At the center of this space, a single wave rises, slowly, gracefully, deliberately. It is enormous, but soft. A mountain of motion, smooth and round, rolling upward with the patience of something that has never needed to hurry. The wave pauses at its crest. A deep, warm silence fills the chamber. Your breath holds without tension, and then the wave begins to fall, not in a crash, not in a rush. In the slowest, softest descent imaginable, a fall so gentle it feels like being exhaled by the universe. As the wave sinks, its glow spreads across the space, flowing toward you in a warm, golden tide. When it reaches the cradle, it lifts you a fraction of an inch, just enough to remind you that you are floating in a dream, crafted entirely to carry you deeper. Then the wave recedes, drawing the chamber into a long, quiet pause. This is the final drift, the last gentle slope before the deepest rest. The dream holds you. The warmth hums. The space prepares to open the last chamber of the night. You inhale. Soft light gathers. You exhale. The final doorway begins to form, and you drift toward it, ready to step into the deepest, slowest, warmest layer of this ocean of sleep. The doorway to the deepest layer of the dream forms with a softness that feels almost sacred. Not a flash, not a flare, but a slow blooming, like warm light drifting outward from the center of a seashell you've held up to your ear. A single curve appears first, a half moon of glow bending gently in the air. Then another grows beside it, and another, until 12 arcs overlap, forming a spiraling gate that turns inward like the core of a conch, inviting you into a place that has no sound, no pressure, no expectation, only rest. You lean forward. Your body moves without effort, floating as if carried by an unseen tide. The cradle lowers you gently, releasing its warmth, but leaving its imprint behind, a soft memory of heat settled deep in your muscles, in your breath, in the quiet behind your thoughts. As you pass through the spiraling gate, the world becomes heavier and lighter at the same time. Heavier in calm, lighter in gravity, like sinking into warm water while rising through warm air. The space beyond the gate is not a room, not a corridor. It is a vast, slow ocean of motionless waves. The waves here do not rise. They do not fall. They do not break. They hover in long, suspended arcs, frozen not by stillness, but by perfect, perpetual motion, so slow that your dream mind can barely perceive the drift. You glide above them, your feet skimming the soft glow that forms each curve. The waves react, soft pulses spreading outward with each point of contact, as though your presence is gently tuning the entire ocean. Your breath becomes the dominant motion. Inhale the suspended waves, rise slightly. Exhale, they settle deeper into their quiet orbits. Far out across the glowing sea, a single crest brightens a warm, low flame of gold, pushing through the dream fog. Something is coming, not a shape, not a creature, a movement, an immense, slow-moving warmth rolling toward you, like a tide that finally remembered your name. You remain still. No fear exists here, only familiarity, as if this moment has happened every night of your life in a place just outside memory. When the warmth arrives, it spreads across the suspended waves, lighting them from beneath like lanterns carried by the quietest current. The entire ocean glows. The warmth wraps around you. First, around your shoulders, then your chest, then your hips, then the space behind your knees, and finally your feet lifting you in a slow, spiraling ascent. You rise, not upward, inward, into the softest center of the entire dream. The warmth holds you. Your breath slows further. Your thoughts dissolve into long, drifting shapes that barely resemble thoughts at all. They become waves, gentle, slow, nearly still. And then something unfolds beneath you, a spiral, a downward drift shaped not from light, but from motion. A REM closure spiral, soft, layered, warm, pulling you through the final loop of the dreaming arc. You enter it without stepping, without deciding, without trying. You simply drift. The spiral turns beneath your body. One wide, slow rotation, then another, each loop smoothing the last edges of wakefulness, clinging to your awareness. You breathe in. The spiral rises gently. You breathe out. It lowers you into the deepest warmth you've felt all night. Below you, a final chamber, appears a small hollow of light surrounded by suspended waves that glow like sleeping stars. This is the deepest point of rest, the quietest tide, the bottom of the dreaming ocean. You settle into it. The glow gathers around you, forming a shell of warmth that breathes with you. Soft, slow, endless. No motion now, except your breath. No sound except the faint hum of the universe, remembering itself. The suspended waves dim to a deep gold. The spiral dissolves. The chamber thickens in warmth. You exhale long and slow, and the dream closes gently around you. Not ending, only folding, joining itself into a loop that will carry you through the rest of the night. You are drifting now, fully, completely, as softly as a wave that never needed to break to find its rest. The last glow fades into a warm, familiar dusk. The dream hums, the ocean stills, your breath deepens, and the night holds you with infinite patience.